Oh, I'm so grateful you could join us once again here at the Illuminations Media Network Members section. Members, I love you, and I'm so grateful that you are supporting this wonderful opportunity, this great work. Well, today we have a beautiful guest, and I do mean she is beautiful physically. She's beautifully inside her voice. Her name is Lisbeth Halpman, and she is the author of The Power of the Voice. Now, Lisbeth has shared her wonderful background with us in our regular archives, but just in case you're not familiar with her, the four of you who may not have heard about her before, I'd like to just get her to share a little bit of information about her and her book and how this book will help you. The reason why you definitely want to go out and get her book, The Power of the Voice. Welcome, Lisbeth.
Thank you, Tamara, and I also want to thank you very much for being your guest. It's exciting.
It is my pleasure, and I'm so grateful that you've taken the time out all the way from Denmark to be with us here to help us to realize that power in the voice. And so, Lisbeth, if you could just take a moment to give us a brief synopsis of the purpose of your book and how it's going to help to heal us.
The purpose of this book, The Power of the Voice, I have written is, first of all, to bring consciousness to that everybody has a voice, and the way you are using your voice is actually a kind of calling card. If the voice is your calling card, it's a fingerprint of yourself. You are revealing a lot of yourself when you are opening your mouth. So the goal is to get consciousness about this powerful instrument you have, and not to be to find yourself limited by that you're not a singer or something, but allowing yourself to say, I have a voice, and this voice is a deep, deep, deep print of me, so to speak. And if I get to know this voice, if I get conscious, if I get familiar with it, I can gain so much freedom, so much power, so much personal power and healing and authenticity. So that's part of the goal, I think. Yes.
Oh, excellent. I am just so grateful that you're here to share this. This is a phenomenal breakthrough, if you will. Certainly the human voice is very common. We hear people singing on the radio all the time. We listen to lectures when we are in university. We speak to one another all the time. But to see that voice as a way of really connecting with who we really are, that's new for me. So I would just love for you to break it down, because here in your book you speak about the different types of voices. You've got the wolf, the little girl, the trombone, the seducer, the optimist. I mean, it just goes on and on. How do you identify these types, and what do these types mean about the individual?
I mean, every voice has some unique and specific voice pattern, and these voice patterns, I tried to give them some names. I have listed up 20 types in my book, but of course there are unlimited types. We are so different, everyone. But to understand a little bit of this, it's good to have 20 types. So, for example, let me take the first type I call the wolf. And then I describe this voice pattern. The wolf has attack in his or her voice. You are attacking someone. You are saying da 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 dee da 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 bum ba da 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 da, or maybe a little bit slowly, da 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 dee da 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 dum ba da 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 da. So you press or attack with your voice, or you push away the world around you. And that means a lot. It's not so much, or it's not at all the language. It's not the words you say. It's the melody. It's the breathing. It's these attacks and so on you have in your voice. That's are telling a lot of who you are and how you live your life. And in my book, you can read that which is the connection to your behavior. And then I have exercises for that type, so you can free yourself from this kind of pattern you are stuck into, because we all stuck into some roles, even we know it or not. So that's one of them. Another one is, for example, the waterfall, who's a voice type with a lot of breathing out and nothing in, or at least anything. You just take a lot of words and you just throw them out, and you're ba 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 da 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 da, and maybe it's also very quickly. You are speaking and you are giving away yourself, and you just take a very, very little breathing in. So the balance in the waterfall, the balance between breathing in and breathing out is totally disturbed. And of course it's the same kind of, if you are stressed, you have the same kind of tension. You are giving out and are not allowing to take in anything. So again, there I have some examples and also some exercises to stop up and look at yourself and listen and breathe in. So you are trying to balance this breathing, receiving and giving. That's what it's about. You know, the breathing is always giving out and taking in.
Right. There has to be that balance, that ebb, that flow.
Yeah.
Well, there's one that really jumps out to me, and I'm very curious about. Okay. How about the beggar? What does that beggar voice type sound like?
The beggar, the flattering voice, the voice you can't resist. I think the beggar leads up to the next voice type I have, which is when the beggar become a grown-up, he or she becomes a seducer. So the beggar is something we can do from children. We know how to beg. We know how to, Mom, you know, the voice is going from down and up. You're just stroking with a little air. Haven't you? Or if it's their father, Daddy. You know, it's so sweet. You can't resist it. It's that begging voice, small and pleasing you, and with a little air on it. You know, it's really flattering. So when you do that, and I think everybody knows how to do that, because they have learned from they were children on, and that's a beggar. And the beggar always have to do some, I can call it an exercise, a dictator exercise, because you have to come down from this pattern. You have to do something which is the opposite. So you have to strengthen your grounding and your deep down voice.
Certainly.
Because if you're not learning that thing, it becomes a habit to you, and then you just sit with your chief and just say as a Jew, you know. So it becomes a pattern you go on with.
Sure. And what you've just spoken to is taking the opposite in order to come back to the middle. Certainly
precisely.
when we have any extremes, there are going to be some problems.
There are some problems, as the good Tibetans always says, stand or keep to the middle way.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah.
This is awesome. And so if we were to take a look at the shadow of say, this beggar, there's certainly we've got the light shadow when we look at Jungian psychology, and then we have that dark shadow part. What would be the positive aspect of this beggar voice type?
The positive aspect of the voice type, I don't think you can say it so. In my opinion, you can't say it because you have many shadows. You have many sides. But to the beggar, you want the shadow to the beggar. You want the positive aspect of the beggar.
Right.
Both, maybe. As I see it, the beggar is manipulated. She
manipulated.
Or he yeah. She or he manipulates people. In fact, they all do in their different ways when we are up to an extreme. So you can't know exactly. I don't know exactly what the shadow is, because you can have many shadows to that. You can't know precisely. They are so differentiated.
Right.
So
perhaps
when you go into
just an idea, maybe the beggar would be a person who would be good at negotiating.
Yeah. Sure. And because the seducer, as I see, is the beggar which is grown up. Is perfect to negotiate, to go in everywhere, but he or she will be much more better if you become conscious of what you're doing.
Right.
Totally conscious of your doing. Then you can have a choice. You can say, okay, I don't want to manipulate. I want to use my best abilities or my best sides here. And I can also do something else. And I can also I can choose to not do it.
Right.
So
because that's what it is, right? To be whole. That my favorite saying of Carl Jung is, I would rather be whole than good. The recognition that we are all of these, right? We are the wolf, we're the optimist, the pessimist, we're the starter, we're the little girl, we're the little boy, we're everything. And that when we can use all of those aspects of ourselves, then we can be whole. But certainly using them appropriately because we are conscious of them, right?
Precisely, yes, I think so. And you can also say that in my book, you could say what could be the most wonderful thing to do was to be able to have all of them. And then maybe at a certain point you get so free of everything that you are just in zero, that you don't, maybe you come to a point that you just doesn't want to do anything more, because you are and not doing. You are not doing, you are. You are pure awareness, or what you would call enlightenment, also, to speak. I think so. But all these roles, all these patterns, we have to go through, and we have to know them. As I also mean that we have to have conscious about what we are doing, not only just have a fix that someone are fixing us or giving us something, and we don't need to be conscious of what is going on. That I don't believe. I think that we have to go through consciousness.
Yes.
In our development.
Yes. That is manipulation in itself, is it not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore I can say in my book, in the voice work I do, I think it's so it's so inspiring to see people learn sides of themselves, knowing these holes or unconscious parts or the shadow sides, and a lot of creativity is coming free from that.
I love that. So what you're doing is giving people their power back.
I hope so.
Yes.
And their own power to choose and be free. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is so good. Oh, you're listening to Lisbeth Haltman, all the way from Denmark. We're speaking about her fantastic work. It's a book called The Power of the Voice. Know your voice, know yourself. Now, that brings me to a very vulnerable position right here and right now, Lisbeth.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and step out there. Lisbeth, what type of voice am I?
Now I have listened to your beautiful voice for some time, almost an hour. The first thing that I hear in the voice is a very beautiful voice. You're clear to hear, and you're very calm. Your voice is very calm, and that's very nice. So you spread some calmness and give some safety around you, I think. That's some words I would use. And if I should, can I suggest some work points maybe?
Oh, please.
As I hear it, maybe I'm not right, but what I hear is maybe a willingness to go very quickly and don't think about what is coming out of your mouth, as you know very much children does when they are or do when they are small. To jump out of the calmness sometimes. That's going in another direction. Mm-hmm. Maybe you could also, because you're very, very beautiful round in your voice. There's a lot of round melody in your voice. You could also pick it out, what it's called, that you are stick it out.
And a little staccato in there.
Staccato maybe, yeah.
Okay, how about that? There we go.
Yeah, that's nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
Huh. Excellent. I never would have thought that. It's so funny. We do not, just as we're looking in the mirror, we see ourselves completely differently from how people see us, but the same goes for how we're heard. Interesting.
That's interesting, yes. I could also say that the calmness is getting people to feel safe and calm, and they can fall asleep in a good way. It's all the good way, but it's always very positive. I mean, and the other thing, the opposite of that, could be to wake them up, whim, with a lot of energy and dynamic, sing,
yes.
or something like that.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I can definitely work on that.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. Because it's all, we, as you also said yourself, we are whole. We are born as whole beings. So when you have this side, you definitely have the other side too. The opposite, the polarity, the shadow, it's there too.
It is there.
It's there as two, two sides of the coin. You have the other side. You have it.
Right.
Maybe we haven't found it, but it's there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that speaks to just the law of nature, where one thing is present, the other is definitely always there.
It's always there, yeah. So that's also what you can hear in a voice. You can hear in a voice the present layer, the present, what is in focus what is coming up right now. And you can also train yourself to listen a little deeper down. And there's some more ground, some more history, some more story maybe.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Lizbeth, say our listeners don't have you there, right? With them. Would you recommend recording your voice and trying to pick up on these patterns?
Certainly, yes, I have done that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. What did you mean exactly? More than just recording and do a kind of analysis on that, or what? Pardon, did you mean?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was speaking to. Is that certainly you do sessions with individuals, but maybe everyone isn't able to to be there with you in Denmark, and maybe someone wants to do their own work, to see if they can pick up on these patterns once they've read your book.
Okay, so you could tape your own voice, listen to your own voice, like you are doing it from outside, listening from outside. I think it's a good idea to listen together with another person too. You can do it yourself, of course you can do that. But maybe you are not so you are maybe too much into your own voice.
Right.
So you wouldn't hear these things. It's good to have a person beside you.
Oh, I can see this growing into groups where people are working together, supporting each other to be the best that they can be.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I also believe that we all have this ability to hear and listen. But I think in our culture nowadays, we are not so. We are focused a lot of different kind of. We are sitting with a computer and TV and so on, and the sound. We almost have forgotten to hear. But I think we can all pick up what's going on in another person by listening to his voice, much more than we know.
If we just pay attention. Yeah.
Yes, right.
So it's more than the words. It's the pauses, certainly the staccato as you spoke to before, the force behind it. There's so many little intricacies, and this book can definitely help us to recognize it. But Lizbeth, with any kind of change, sometimes resistance shows up. What resistance have you seen in people, in making these changes with voice?
Oh, a lot. I could list them up. Resistance has its own way. There can be, I can't do this because I'm tired. I'm too tired for this right now. Is it what you mean? I have a headache.
No,
sure. I would like to do this. It's very interesting, but I think I have a lot. My schedule, my calendar is full. I can't. I just have to do something else before, or you get very angry, maybe. Something you can sometimes see people getting very angry, or they give up hope. They just no, it's not for me. It's not for me. Maybe this is not for me because I have no voice. I'm not a singer. People can tell so many things to themselves. A lot of things we say to ourselves that if we could use all those things we are saying negatively to ourselves, turn it around, wow, what a life we could have. But
certainly,
I also believe that you have to go with the resistance. You have to listen to that. Again, you have to be aware what you are doing or what you are resisting and how you're doing it. So that's a talk more about that.
Certainly.
I work a
it.
lot with resistance when I have groups. You know, I welcome the resistance. I have exercises for resistance. The resistance in my work is so welcome. We have to head, into the middle. Let's have it up and look at that. What is it? And then we can change it and transform it with the voice. And that's powerful. That's really powerful when it changes.
And those rewards are so worth it. You know, when we pushed past that resistance, we get so many great gifts.
Yes, we do. And the amount of your resistance, the same amount is, if we turn this amount of resistance around and we change it and transform it, it's the same amount. You gain all these flourishing, fantastic things, the freeing soul, the authentic part of you, the joy, the liberation, everything. It's so beautiful when people get this. So therefore I think resistance is very, very welcome. You have to say welcome to your own resistance.
Yes, change is good.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to ask about, Lisbeth, in your book, you talk about the voice through time. You give us a little historical synopsis about the history of voice. Can you touch on that just in our last few moments, please?
Yes, you can. If you look at the voice up through the time, you can say that we are talking. The speaking voice is going quicker and quicker, and we are, in my grandparents' age, or in that when they were young, you were talking very, very slowly. In Denmark, we talk very slowly and very correctly, and we had a lot of time, and we had a lot of breaks when you can breathe, and so on. It would be very correctly, and the time has done that we are talking very, very fast now, and everything is going quicker. We are in a hurry all the time, and we are not speaking fully the language out. You can't hear all the sounds anymore, and that's kind of what we in music call up tempo. Up, 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 up. So we are rushing, and the time is we don't give ourselves time, and we can hear that in voices too. So I think we need to slow down again. We need these pauses and breaks, and we need to be more mindful. And in my grandmother's time, we had something called this kind of darkness hour. But just before darkness, it's very beautiful. We sat still for 1 hour, and sometimes in some families, one of the oldest were telling a story, and in other families they just sit down and were quiet together for this full hour. That's beautiful.
It really is.
Yeah.
Wow, we need to implement that here in the U.S. Yeah. We actually have no downtime. When you look at families, you look at the parents and you look at the children, everybody's schedule is so booked with so many activities. And then, in the middle of that, of course, there's the stopping to eat, but then there's also sitting in front of a screen, whether it's a computer game or a television or a film.
We're sitting, we are going from one screen to another all day long. And when we come home too. Yeah. And that's not, that's another thing with the voices and time, that the voices are missing. The sound is missing. We have a lot of technical sounds from the screens and computers and television, and but what about our own sounds? I myself have a problem with all those computers. Sometimes I just want to kick them out because, I can't hear people's voices. I cannot, when I have an email, I can have a lot of information, but I can't hear the voice. So I don't get the good. I usually have this impression of people when I hear the sounds of their voices, but I haven't got that anymore, and that I miss it so much. So I think we have to have this. We have to have it back. The lost parts, the sound. I think it will come back, and I think we are beginning.
So.
We are beginning. Yeah. We are at baby steps, beginning.
We do need that so much, where it just seems in our society to me that there's a dislike, there's a pushing away of what is human and natural. A lot of sounds that our bodies make we're embarrassed about.
Right.
We're taught that there's something wrong with it. And it's so important that we get back to the natural, the nature of ourselves. And, one of the ways that I really get to that, Lisbeth, is to spend time out in nature. I'm so fortunate. I live in a rural area here in the Seattle, Washington area, up in the hills, and there's lots of greenery and trees, there are birds. And I can actually sit out in the back and pick blueberries, blackberries. I can get into my garden, and I can just put my feet into the soil and just sit there and listen to nothing but nature.
Oh,
and my own body.
So beautiful. Yeah. And nature sings. Nature speaks to you. Nature has a lot of sounds, I think, also in the stillness. That sounds wonderful.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. But a lot of people
also
feel concerned. They feel concerned if it's too quiet. They feel unsettled.
Right. It's becoming a lot of that, yeah. But that's not the sound of the natural. It's not a natural sounding they are surrounded with. It's all the technical sounds they are surrounded with. And that's... We have to get away from that, I think. Or maybe the technology, maybe it's just a step in some direction before we get to use this new technology better. Maybe we will land, in the future we will land a better place, I think. I had just a kind of imagination of that. But certainly I agree that we have to go back to nature.
Yes.
And you can also communicate with nature. You can communicate with your birds around you and the cows at your neighbor's house. I live in the countryside near the sea, so I have a lot of sounds from animals around. And that's very, very, very cute and very fascinating.
It really is. We can certainly take a cue from the animals.
Yeah.
Well, Lisbeth, this has been a real treat. This has been, excellent for our listeners, and I know I'm going to get some wonderful feedback. You're such a beautiful and loving spirit. You've brought forth a wonderful work here in your book, The Power of the Voice. And I do hope that you'll come back and speak to us. I definitely want to connect with you when you do come to the States to do your workshop.
Right. I really want to go to the States and to do workshops and do individual sessions, lectures, small cafe, with voice spot-on events or something like that.
Oh, yes. We do have a great deal of that here in the Seattle area. We call them open mics.
Wow.
And so that would be interesting. We'll have to speak with Sonia and see what we can arrange. That would be fantastic.
Definitely. I'd love that.
Excellent.
So, see you in spring, maybe.
Oh, yes. Oh, and I thank you, Lizbeth, and I thank you, members, for joining us here. You're definitely going to be hearing more from Lizbeth, and definitely keep your eyes and your ears open and the calendar that we're going to have here in the member section so that you'll know what's happening and who's coming to town so that we can make sure that we can get connected with all these wonderful experts and speakers. Until next time, from the members section of the Illuminations Media Network, take good care and remember to listen to your own voice to discover how to improve your life and those around you. Peace and blessings, and take good care.